Y'all, I was today years old when I realized that Miss Addie, Miss Barbara, Miss Bam, okay, is suing Mama D for defamation of the character. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Sky Squad, we are back in the building. And of course, we have got to talk about this new interview that Bambi did with Amanda Seales. I don't know how many of you guys follow Amanda Seales and her podcast, aka her YouTube channel, Small Doses. Now, Small Doses is the brand of it all. And I love Amanda Seales. I am just always into everything that she's doing. I think that she is someone who is, for me, the epitome of what it means to, not wait for opportunities to be handed to you and to create them yourself. Okay. I'm a firm believer in that. So listen, go on over there. I will put the link in the description so you guys can watch the interview and all the other things that Amanda is doing on that site, baby. But bam, yeah, man. So we're gonna talk about why this interview has come about. Essentially, Bambi wanted to have a sophisticated space to have a conversation and really tell her story in a way that I feel like is probably outside of the realm and the scope of the world of love and hip hop. All right. And we're going to talk about later why that's important. So, if you are interested in any of this whole situation with Bam and how this is all playing out and how the nuances of her and Scrap's relationship, stick around until the end of this video because there's a lot of juicy stuff to get into, including some, it's not really tea, but like interesting stuff about the Benzino situation, as well as the Rasheeda and Kirk of it all. So, stick around. All right. So the conversation starts off pretty light, but it get kind of heavy, like kind of early. Amanda asked, "Well, Bam, how old are you?" And it wasn't a shady question, but it was an interesting one in light of things that have happened. As you guys may recall, Bam was arrested along with Erica Menor, okay, about a couple of weeks ago due to an altercation with the Popo down to the club. Okay. Now, in that it was alleged that Erica had allegedly, let me put the alleged badge up here because the people is litigious. And so it was alleged that Erica Menor had either bit or hit the police or something like that. Anyway, at that point, Mama D, was pretty vocal about how she felt about that whole thing and about Bambi's involvement in that whole situation, especially being involved with Erica Menor. All right. So, as a result of some things that Mama D stated, Bam is now, I don't know if it's in motion or she has the plans to do it, but the plan is to sue. Oh, no, she says she's suing her mother-in-law for defamation of character because she says that Mama D said that she used a fake ID when she went to jail and gave them the wrong age. Now, we could do a quick little Googler search to see exactly how old is Bambi from Love and Hip Hop? Atlanta. Now, the internet says 37 years old, born March 1st, 1980 to the 6th, okay? So, I don't know if that's true or not. The internet can say a whole lot of different things, but I would guesstimate that it's probably around that age, perhaps, perchance. I don't know, but she was cagey about the details of the age. I'm not necessarily sure why. It is what it is at this point, but I was always told, as growing up in the South, that you never ask a lady her age. So I ain't gonna ask. I'll just look it up. Anyway, so Yes, baby. So she is suing Mama D for the defamation of the character. Do you guys think that she has a suit? I know that we are all out here with a law degree. Okay, so please feel free to leave your comments down in the comment section down below. I'm being facetious as I say that, but still, we internet lawyers. You know what I'm saying? Internet attorneys at law. Not really. Kind of, sort of. We think we are. Sometimes I don't know. But if you are an actual attorney, let me know. Regardless, she doing it. So anyway, she says that all of these people are making it impossible for her to just stay out the way like she wants. And she hasn't even had time to grieve for the relationship. Which kind of contradicts something she's going to say later. So I don't know about that. Anyway, she wants to be able to tell her story in a very sophisticated way, which is why she's talking to Amanda Seales about it. Now, she feels like she's outgrowing the audience of consumers of the show that she is on. So in my mind, my wonder for that is, does that mean that she feels like she's outgrowing the show in general? Or is she more or less just simply frustrated with how fans are receiving her? Because she goes on to say the viewers seem to feel that because of what they see on the show, that she's bitter and miserable and trying to drag her friends with her. It's interesting to me that I don't know if you guys recall Spice's. I think she was in the airport and she went live. And this was after and what we did not know at the time was after the blow up between her and Erica Minner, was that Spice went live. She was in the airport and she was going on about how she's not doing it with Safari, and how Erica was mad that it was Bambi season, which was interesting because later on in the season, well, as we've seen, uh, uh, Spice is, fighting with Sierra, with Erica. I mean, not Erica, but with Bambi. So I don't know. It's just interesting to me because I don't know. I mean, do you guys feel like she's coming across as bitter? I don't really feel like she comes across as bitter per se, as much as I do feel like she's maybe hurt. And I think that it's so easy to probably villainize her because you have, Erica and Imani and Scrappy, Mama D, Diamond Dale, they have all been very vocal about their feelings about Bambi. And so I wonder how much public perception is as a result of some of the things that they've also said as well. And the fact that now we know Sierra is also not friends with Bambi either. So that's interesting to me. We learned that she filed for divorce in November. The divorce was finalized in June. She wasn't really going to address the reason for the divorce on Love and Hip Hop, which I don't know how that would have worked. I mean, given that she says that the reason, one of the final straw was this whole situation with the woman he cheated with, which we would have to assume would be Diamond Dale, right? And so she says she wasn't going to address this reason on TV until she heard that he was bringing her on the show. So then she felt like she would have to address it. She said then he brought his baby mama, aka Erica Dixon, on the show. So all of the women, including his mom, started coming out of the woodwork to come after her. So Amanda asked, well, why are they coming for you, Bambi? So apparently when Bambi first met Scrap, she said she loved that he didn't hold grudges. So what I guess she is alleging is that he would tell her all the terrible things that, maybe perhaps Erica, Diamond Dale, and maybe others had done to him, but would also never really excommunicate these people out of his life and would just forgive them. And at first, she found that admirable until she realized, no, this is just really you not having any boundaries. And also, it will allegedly feed into some need for validation, which we'll talk about in a bit, right? But she says, so what has happened is these boundaryless relationships have led him to now be able to gather this tribe of people who tried to tear him down together to band against her. So her example of this is that both Erica and Diamondell accused him of abuse in the past. And so now he is teaming up with them to go against her in this divorce that he never really wanted. I don't know about this. Listen, what I'm gonna say is this, and this may be controversial, but I want to know how you guys feel about it. And that's the purpose of this channel, to talk about things, to dialogue about it, ask questions, and get answers, right? So my thing is, how much of what you hear about a person that you're dating do you take in as you are getting to know them and maybe perhaps falling for them, right? So let me ask you this question for my ladies, I mean, even for my men. Like, if you have heard, or this person said, if you've heard the streets talking about this person that you're dating being abusive to that person and that person in the past. So now that's at least two people that have allegedly alleged abuse, right? So how much of that do you take in as you are deciding and determining whether or not you want to actually date this person or not? Okay. I mean, because in my mind, if I hear abuse twice and it's associated with somebody that I'm like dating at that time, then that's dose red flags that I got to now pay attention to, and that may most likely would impact the future that I have with them. But then I also know that in relationships, when they end, someone is usually the hero and someone is usually the villain. It really just depends on the perspective and who you are in the relationship, right? So it's a touchy situation, but what do you believe? Okay. I don't remember all that at the time, to be honest with you. It's been too many reality shows and too many years ago. So y'all gonna have to let me know, because some things I'm very good at remembering, and some things I really just did not. I wasn't, my ear went to the ground on it. You know what I'm saying? And by ear to the ground, I mean, was I really watching it like that at the time to have heard that or remember it, right? Anyway, Amanda says, well, it's hard to really know what's real on reality TV. So I think that the audience may play into how the audience views the situation, because there's the reality TV of it all, and then there's the reality of it all, right? The real life of it all and the reality TV of it all. And then oftentimes those lines get blurred. And so the audience, we know some things are fake and we know some things are real, but sometimes it becomes hard to distinguish exactly what, right? So she wants to know what was the final straw in the divorce. Bambi says it was him cheating while on tour with his ex. They had apparently had a discussion about the possibility of some discomfort for Brandy before the tour, and he told her that she could actually come on the entire tour, but she had the kids to take care of, and creating a stable environment for them, and they also had some other issues. She says she ended up looking in his phone and saw texts and DMs, and the very next day she filed for divorce. This was the first time that she knows of him cheating. Okay. So I'm assuming that maybe dealing with other issues on top of all of that, and then finding the DMs, I think maybe, or the text or whatever she found allegedly, I feel like though that was probably her last straw. So Amanda asked a very good question. Well, what kept you guys together before this final straw? She says she never considered him a cheater. Okay. She said he was very present, but his mom was always saying things on the internet and he wasn't defending her. Then they started therapy 3 months before she filed for divorce, and she thought it was going well. So their relationship, she feels like, was based on her coddling him in the beginning. And it wasn't a problem for her until she started having kids, because then she had to really begin, taking care of and coddling and really focusing on their needs and working. So she never really got much time to take off. So she couldn't coddle him as much. Amanda then goes a step further and says, well, I know Scrappy's going to be mad at me, but she talks about this idea of sometimes men, and this could potentially be anybody in a relationship, but I think she wanted to really focus this on men, about how his mother may not have been as present around him in the beginning, in his formative years, to mother him. So that developmental stage was actually missing. So now Bambi had become the mothering figure. And so what happens when that mothering figure then needs to transfer that most of that mothering to the kids that they have? I don't really know. I can't remember much. I mean, but I don't know what Mama D was doing back in the day, but I don't know how much mothering she was doing either. So it's really hard for me to really determine what the answer to that is. And I know some of you guys who watch Love and Hip Hop are going to be very clued into that past. And so if you are, chime down in the chatterization down below. I don't pretend to know everything about every topic that has come up on these shows. And so oftentimes as a community, I do rely sometimes on you to clarify certain things that I may miss, because I'm human. I'm imperfect. I'm not going to get everything. So let us know in the chat. Bambi does take accountability for this coddling and this mothering. But she says that once she had the kids, all she wanted really was a break. She does go on to say that he's a great dad, and she says that she felt like he was trying, but when they started filming, it was a lot of emotions on both ends. He didn't want the divorce, and she was going to try to reconcile, but she just couldn't get over the trust issue, and she did not want to live the rest of her life thinking she might need to go through his phone for the, with the distrust. She says she went through the phone because she just had a feeling this was the second time that she had ever been through his phone in 5 years. She says she saw how him and the ex, I'm assuming again this is Diamondell, were interacting on the tour, and it was weird. And Bambi says they be knowing, women be knowing. She says she thinks she knows what happened though. He started the tour, and throughout the relationship, he was trying to get back to that artist place, right? So it was exciting for him to be on this tour. Now, she says that for her, she could see where for him, it's like, well, she's on the phone, like, well, this is life is life, and over here with the kids, they need this, they need to do that. I got to take them here, I got to do this and that and the third. Meanwhile, he's hitting the stage every night, and living the fairy tale, and the women's is out there, tossing earrings and bras and or whatever they may be tossing at him. And she talked about his need for constant validation. So then they have a discussion about getting that level of validation as a kid. And, Amanda really talked about it, and even in her own personal way of dealing with this issue, that when you're on stage as an adult, it's a quick high, but you kind of crash after that. And so you're looking for that next fix of like, how can I get that high again? And then once you hit rock bottom, then you have to rebuild yourself from the ground up. And she talks about her own experience with that, and maybe relating that to perhaps what Scrappy may have been dealing with. Bambi says she did feel like he was becoming a better version of himself through therapy. And then this happened, but she still wants him to be the best version of himself. When they first filed for divorce, she said that first day she started a fast. And it was a few days after Thanksgiving through New Year's. So no drinking, fruits and veggies, no meat, no alcohol, just fruits, veggies, and water. She also limited her consumption of social media so she wouldn't see things he was doing on social media that would trigger her. So this goes into this idea of, was Bambi fasting? So it turns out that perhaps she was fasting, but was it for spice? Or was it for a multitude of reasons? Was it for the divorce? Was it also for spice? Or was it more so for the divorce? That's a good question. I don't know. So, but the fasting thing does come up. So somebody in the chat or in the comment section, I think the other day, had actually talked about how she posted about fasting. So I pinned the comments so you guys can kind of go back to the video and look. But I just wanted to make mention that she does, again, double down on the fasting thing. So, at least I would assume that part is true. So they tried to do mediation to come to agreements. They did not have a prenup, which is interesting to me, Because I would think that coming into this, especially being like in this world of reality TV at this day and this day and time, and kind of knowing the state of how marriages work within the context of when we look at TV and we're looking at these rappers and these artists and they're going on tour, the assumption is that there's a lot of money being, circulating. But I mean, the question then becomes like, I don't know, because she also goes on to state that they didn't have any properties together, they didn't have to divide any assets. So that's also interesting to me. You're married. I don't know. Listen, I can't talk about like people rent for different reasons, so I can't really place a judgment on that. But it does kind of like make you wonder, like y'all didn't start to do any like build any kind of like because a little bit of marriage is a business, right? I mean, not a little bit, a lot of it. A lot of marriage is a business, and you have to contend with this idea of loving someone for the rest of your life and being with them for the rest of your life, but also being in business with them for the rest of your life. So how do you marry all of these things together in order to sustain a long-lasting relationship, right? So when you think about the idea that they've been married for however many years or however long with X amount of kids, at what point did we not start to build things together? That's kind of interesting to me. She says they were splitting the bills 50-50, and it was a little bit tough for her to hold the same weight he was holding monetarily because, obviously he was able to kind of tour and stuff like that. And so I'm assuming she relied on other sources of income, which she does not go into. And I guess during the time of the divorce, he would kind of come and go as he wanted. Then she says he would be late paying his rent a few times. So the owner of the place was like, we're going to have to terminate this lease. She could have had a conversation with the owner and said, listen, he's just going to leave. But then she would have had to serve him with some papers for him to get out of the house. And she did not want to do that. And she was hurt because they had been in that house, with the kids all this time. She says with the divorce, she wasn't really satisfied with the things that came out of that, but she just wanted it to be over. So then she wants to clear up the Benzino situation of it all. Here is the Benzino situation. As a reminder for those of you guys who may not recall, Bambi's entry into the Love and Hip Hop Atlanta universe, we'll call it, right? And here she is pictured with two young ladies and Kirk and Benzino. Now, Amanda is very much like, what was the attraction to the Benzino? Okay, what was it? Please tell her. And she says the only reason people feel a certain type of way about Benzino is because they don't like how he looks. And she said that he felt a certain type of way because I guess she maybe have said it online or on the show or something like that. He felt a certain type of way about that. Anyway, she says she met Benzino and she would not normally be attracted to him, but he was fun and cool. She hung out with him a few times, but she never was intimate with him like that, allegedly. He suggested that she come along and film a scene, okay, and it ended up being a big deal. When she met Kirk, she said she did not know Rasheeda at the time, but Kirk said that his wife had given him a pass to do whatever he wanted to do. So in my mind, if the wife gives you a pass to do whatever you want to do, the pass, I wonder if the pass was based on this. No, I'm just kidding. JK. Then do you say, you know what, wifey, what I'm going to do while you're expecting, okay, because apparently she was pregnant at the time, I'm going to go on national of the television and I'm going to sit in the hot tub with two women straddling me on each leg, rubbing and a hugging and a licking or whatever they was doing with them. You know what I'm saying? Exhibit A. All right. I'm trying to figure out, like, I need to go back and watch this video and see how he explained that one. Anyway, how do you then go on the national TV? I mean, unless you're trying to one up Stevie J, but I mean, that just makes no sense to me. Like the unmitigated gall of it all for me. Like, at least if you're gonna do it, I mean, do it in the privacy of the motel, okay? Hotel, motel, Holiday Inn. People were mad, okay, and Bambi says that it wasn't a good look, and she realizes now how bad it looked. And Amanda is like, baby, this is like 2 times in your life when you was in the wrong place at the wrong time. I'm assuming the other time she's talking about is when she was arrested with Erica Menor. Anyway, Bambi asserts, she knows she was wrong, but at the time she didn't know him, and he said his wife was giving him a pass, and she didn't know those people. And to a certain degree, I would have to kind of believe, like, okay, if you're filming a scene in this hot tub and you know that you married, your wife must not care, right? Because this is going to air on national television. So, they get to the part of the divorce that she didn't anticipate, and is having to split the kids, and so she ends up writing the kids book. She talked about playing basketball in college. Throughout the divorce, she said she's gained a calm nervous system, so she's a lot more relaxed now. She says she cried, she wrote, and she worked out, and she has no one to blame for anything, so she's in a much better space. So that kind of goes back to what I was saying about how she felt like there was a moment that I had written down earlier where she said she felt like she didn't have time to grieve for herself. But also she says that she kind of worked herself through it. So I'm like, I don't know, maybe she didn't grieve, and maybe she still worked through it. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Anyway, I don't know. Maybe I'm just looking. Sometimes I when I hear an inconsistency, I can't help but to notice it. But just because it's an inconsistency to me does not necessarily mean that it was inconsistent for them. Okay, I have to acknowledge that, right? The question was asked, how did being in a public relationship on a TV show play into this whole demise of their relationship? And, Bambi acknowledges that people are watching, so it does magnify everything. But she still, even if they weren't on TV, she wouldn't have been able to stay in the situation. And, she has a lot of pride about herself, so it wouldn't have allowed her to stay. She thinks that these issues, it would have happened regardless of whether or not they were on TV or not, because even if they weren't on TV, he still, most likely, if he had gone on tour, then it would have still been something, perhaps. And if he had that much of a need for validation, as they are asserting, then it would have maybe come out in a different way. I really don't know. She says that she's in a lot of trouble right now for being a real friend in a variety of situations. And a lot of people react to things based on how the internet will react to something, but that's just not her. And when she's going through something, her friend is going to hold her down and not the internet. Now, granted, these things are all true. Everything she said right there was facts. However, I also think that there's something to be said because, and I don't know the full story about the Erica Mena, arrest. I'm assuming that's what she's referring to. But what I will say is, if you find yourself arrested because of your friend's actions, then you look on the television and that same friend is running around hurling racial slurs. It maybe it's time to start analyzing whether or not this friend is actually good for you. Okay. And I think that there's a difference between us loving someone who maybe have been in our lives for a time or have even been a very good friend to us. But then when you really look at where that person has put you as a result of your proximity to them, you then have to start asking yourself as an adult, should I be in proximity to this person? Is it safe for me to be in proximity to this person? And that's a question that only Bambi can answer. But from the outside looking in, it's looking a little sketchy, babes. Looking a little sketchy. So anyway, that's my sort of evaluation of my commentary about the interview. Again, the link will be in the description down below. You guys can watch it for yourself. I love interviews like this. I love a long, deep, sit-down ponderosa because you can get into the nuts and bolts. Do I think it was smart for Bambi to do this? I do think it was smart for her to do it with Amanda Seales, who apparently they've had a relationship sort of behind the scenes, like, via the DMs and stuff like that. And Amanda really respected how well Bambi seemed to parent with such a calm spirit or whatever, which I think probably led to all of this happening. So anyway, if you guys are interested in Love and Hip Hop news, if you guys are interested, especially in the Bam and Scrap and Mama D of it all, definitely tap into this interview and it will give you a lot more insight. And I think Amanda also has a Patreon where if you are interested in joining that, you can get more details. I was hoping actually that some questions would be asked about the Erica Mena situation and the arrest. I'm assuming she may not be able to talk about the arrest depending on where it is in terms of if there's any litigation or if it's an ongoing investigation. But in terms of what Erica Mena has said about Spice, I would have loved to see Amanda ask her point blank about her stance on Erica's statements, lack thereof as a result after the fact, and how it is that they continue to remain so close to the point where you then find yourself becoming arrested via proximity, because I don't know what happened inside that club, but I would love to hear Bambi's explanation in response to all of that. I really would. And I think that if anybody was going to ask that, and it may be in her Patreon, but I feel like if anybody was going to ask that question, it could be Amanda Seales, and I feel like it would demand an honest response. I would like to hear that. I mean, that's just me though. So anyway, that again, like I said, that's my review of this whole situation. Make sure you guys continue to keep it locked onto the channel. Thank you for subscribing if you have, and if you haven't, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell button, and of course, I will catch you all in the next video.
So, Desiree Davenport, what are you hoping to accomplish with this show?
Honestly, I've lost everything in the most horrible way possible. And listen, I want it all back. I'm willing to build it piece by piece, and I mean brick by brick.
Oh, honey, she is done. I bet you a Birkin she doesn't last all season with us. Just watch.
I'm Misha Hill, and I'd like to consider myself the matriarch of this dynamic group of ladies. I mean, someone has to keep them under control.
I'm Davita Delaney.
I mean, I think I could teach these ladies a thing or two about how to get and keep a good man.
They said she was a gold digger. She ain't hear that from me. I'm just really looking forward to being surrounded by other empowering bosses.
Yes, I know exactly what she's doing. And if she keep playing in my face, I'm gonna have to let her off her dirty little secrets just like she did to me. And I'm not playing.
Let's get this straight. If I brought you into this circle, I just as easily can take you out. She ain't running nothing over here, okay? She needs to be worried about running that household and worried about why that husband of hers is never at home.
Oh, hell.
Ooh, child, this is about to be a mess.
Oh my God, I hate mess. What in the world did I get myself into?